Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've just got back from seeing Evil Dead Rise, so let's have a look and see what my thoughts are on it. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content and even share if you know anyone who may enjoy it too. Don't forget to leave a comment below if you've got any thoughts on the film or the franchise as a whole, and subscribe if you haven't already. So I want to start by discussing the franchise as a whole. The Evil Dead franchise has been a mainstay in the horror genre since the release of the original film back in '81. Created by Sam Raimi, the franchise has spawned multiple sequels, spin-offs, a television series. So when the news of a new Evil Dead film was announced, I was excited and nervous. Would it live up to the high standards of the other ones? I wasn't too sure. I've recently watched the 2013 Evil Dead. I'll leave a link to that up above, so check that out if you haven't seen it already. That's my reaction to that film. But I don't think that one is part of this. I think they're very similar films in the gore kind of like point of view. There's less humour in this one. However, it does feel like Evil Dead Rise does continue from the original 3 Evil Dead and the TV series as well. But you can also see a case for the 2013 film being involved in there as well. Right, let's get into the film then. Here's my thoughts. Thankfully, Evil Dead Rise not only lives up to the standards of the other films, but it also manages to carve out its own place in the series. While the previous films were set in the woods or in the cabins, Evil Dead Rise takes place in a high-rise apartment building, adding a fresh and unique spin on the franchise. The film follows two sisters, Beth and Ellie, played by Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan, who find themselves battling an evil force that's been unleashed in the building. As they fight for their survival, they discover the dark history behind the evil presence and must use all their strength to stop it spreading further. One of the things that impressed me about the film was the attention to detail in its world building. While the previous Evil Dead films had more of a straightforward narrative, Evil Dead Rise adds layers of complexity to the story. There are hints and clues throughout the film that suggest a fascinating history into the evil forces at play. It's clear that the filmmakers put a lot of thought and effort into creating a fully realised world, which is always a plus for a horror movie. But of course, the real meat of any horror is the scares, and Evil Dead Rise certainly delivers in that department. From the very beginning, the tension's high and the scares come fast and hard. The film manages to create a generally creepy atmosphere, thanks in no small part to the direction by Cronin. The camera work and lighting add to the sense of dread and unease, and the use of practical effects gives the horror elements a tangible quality that's often missing in modern horror films. Speaking of the practical effects, I have to commend the filmmakers on their excellent use of them in this film. As a horror fan, I've become accustomed to seeing CGI blood and gore in horror films, so it's refreshing to see practical effects used so heavily here. The gore is gruesome and realistic, and there were more than the few scenes that had me cringing in my seat. It's clear that the filmmakers went all out to create a visceral and intense horror experience. I do, however, feel that this is lacking slightly compared to the 2013 film, which is certainly a lot gorier. But what really sets Evil Dead Rise apart from other horror movies is the performances by the cast. Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan are both fantastic in their roles as the two sisters at the centre of the story, and they have a believable chemistry that makes their sisterly bond all the more poignant, and their performances give the horror elements a weight and emotional depth that's often missing in the genre. It's clear the filmmakers wanted to make a horror movie that was more than just jump scares and gore effects, and the performances of Sutherland and Sullivan helped to elevate the film to something truly special. Of course, no horror film is perfect, and Evil Dead Rise does have its flaws. While the pacing is generally spot on, there's a few moments where the film drags a little bit. Additionally, some of the supporting characters are a little bit underdeveloped, which can make it hard to care about in their fates. However, these are relatively minor issues in a generally excellent horror film. It's great to see some homages to other horror films, such as The Shining. There's great bits from The Shining in this film. And also I was reminded of Silent Hill 4, The Room, especially looking through the keyhole. I do feel like the bookended parts of the film didn't really add much to the story. However, they did give us a great credit sequence. The bit where Evil Dead rises out of the river, brilliant. And it certainly leaves it open for a continuation of the franchise. In conclusion, this film is a fantastic addition and a must watch for any horror fans. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments below, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.
Yes, indeed. You better watch out.